Just before I start my speech, a couple of vocab points. I'm going to mention the Met Office. This is the UK Weather Service. I'll mention the World Meteorological Organization. I'm also going to talk about a lot of different countries, about dogs wearing shoes, and my whole speech is about heat waves. Heat waves. And if you are ready, then we shall begin. Ladies and gentlemen, what is a heat wave? According to the Met Office, a heat wave refers to a prolonged period of hot weather, which may or may not be accompanied by high humidity. It is not literally a wave, although it can feel like heat is waving over you. The World Meteorological Organization gives guidance about how to define whether or not you are in a period of a heat wave. They say that a heat wave is marked by unusual hot weather concerning the maximum, minimum and daily averages over a region persisting for at least 2 consecutive days during the hottest period of the year. In the northern and southern hemispheres, heat waves are very common during summer. But how to classify a heat wave varies around the world. Let's look at why heat waves occur. Heat waves are most common in summer because we have high pressure developing across a specific area. High pressure systems are systems which move slowly, and they can persist for a long period of time, such as days or even weeks. They can, believe it or not, occur in the UK due to the location of our jet stream, which is most in the north of the UK in the summer. This means that, believe it or not, in the UK, heat waves are possible. But let's now look at what countries do when they're in a heat wave, because heat waves are actually very dangerous. Let's start with Switzerland. On the 2nd of August this year, the police in the Swiss city of Zurich urged dog owners to buy shoes for their dogs. The reason behind this was to protect their little paws during the high temperatures. According to a Swiss public broadcaster, SRF, the police launched the hot dog campaign. No, they weren't giving away hot dogs, but they were educating dog owners about how to protect man's four-legged friend in the hot weather. Because actually, I don't know if you've ever walked barefoot on a pavement in a heat wave, but even a dog's paws are not that heat resistant. Prolonged heat waves through Europe this summer meant that Switzerland had one of the hottest summers on record since 1864. In July, the temperature never really dipped below 30 degrees Celsius, which is 86 degrees Fahrenheit for my American friends. According to the police in Zurich, 30 degrees outside, ambient temperature, can feel like 50 to 50 degrees on the ground, and this can be really uncomfortable for your dog's paws. So when a dog walks on hot asphalt, they can burn their feet, just like a human would. This is why Zurich City Police advised dog owners to check before taking their dogs out on walks to see if the ground is too hot by placing the back of your hand on the ground for 5 seconds. And if you're unsure, the best thing is to put shoes on your dog. Let's move on now to France. As you know, I moved to France almost a year ago, and I was delighted to finally have a proper summer. Yes, we do have summer in England, as I have explained, but it's not quite the same. France has quite a history with heat waves, actually. In August 2003, a heat wave killed 15,000 people across France, they were mainly the young and the elderly, and since then, France takes heatwaves extremely serious. They have 3 different heatwave levels, a bit like terrorist threat levels, and this summer we reached level 3. Level 3 means that public parks with fountains are open to the public all day and night. So if you fancy it, you can take a dip in your local fountain, and there are even safety patrols to check for vulnerable people. There's also a special directory of vulnerable individuals, and every single day they receive a phone call to check how they're feeling. This means that if an elderly person or a vulnerable individual gets the phone call and says they're feeling unwell, then a volunteer doctor will go around and check up on them. And just to give you an idea of the size of this system in France, between the 24th and the 30th of July, 35,496 phone calls were made just to check up on people. This is not the only thing in France. I'm sure you all know of the RATP, the French metro service, and they hand out cold water and free fans. I'm not sure if this is part of level 3 or just to try to prevent so many people from fainting, because the French metro system is not air conditioned, or at least I've never felt like it was. They were recently criticised for this lack of air conditioning, but those of you who are écolo, as we say in France, will be pleased to know they will not be installing air conditioning because it's extremely unenvironmentally friendly. Let's move further away now from Europe and go to Japan. In Japan, there's an interesting new development when it comes to dealing with heat waves. This summer they went through a rather hot heat wave, and in July more than 30 people died and 10,000 were hospitalized because the weather reached the 40s. In an attempt to prevent further death and injury, the Japanese government stepped up in efforts to warn people of the extreme heat. They put campaigns out in schools, they created a smartphone app, and they also installed English language resources on all government websites. This is very good, but one thing that I found quite amusing was that they had to update their crucial information visualization. So in Japan, they have a daily color-coded predictor of the temperature in your area, but this color-coded daily predictor doesn't work if you're colorblind. So they had to update the whole system because they used to mark heat stroke danger areas in red and safe zones in blue or green. This means that if you're colorblind, the entire thing looks like a yellowy brown mess. And as in Japan, an estimated 3 million people are colorblind, this is actually quite a big problem. So they've decided to change the colors to stop people from being confused. But this won't come in place until 2019. I guess at least it's a step in the right direction. Now, let's travel again and go to India, a country that we can all learn from when we ourselves find ourselves in a heat wave. In the past 2 years, the numbers of people dying from heat-related illnesses in India has fallen sharply. In 2015, 2,040 people died when it was so hot that roads melted. Then the following year, in 2016, only half as many people died, and in 2017, they managed to get the figure down to 200. What happened in India was actually a triumph for common sense. They implemented public awareness campaigns, they trained medical staff better, and they implemented simple local government policy changes. For example, they unlocked the gates to public gardens during the day, and they managed to avert thousands of deaths for very little cost. In 2013, in India, temperatures rose so high that you risked having organ failure. This meant that the government decided to reduce the hours children spend at school, and they cut government works programmes during the heat, and they gave out free water in busy areas. As well as this, they painted white reflective paint onto many roofs in slum communities. This helped to drop temperatures in homes by up to 5 degrees. Also, if you're a doctor in India, when it's hot, you're not allowed to go on holiday. Doctors have all had special training so that they can help when people suffer from heat strokes. All of these very simple steps mean that they've enabled to cut the death toll from heat waves in India dramatically. This year, only 11 people died from a heat wave. I'm sure that wherever you live, you'll find that there are also many policies put in place to help you keep cool. But if there aren't, I googled for the most unusual tips to keep cool in a heat wave. Some suggestions include eating spicy food. I mean, you might fancy eating ice cream when it's hot, but apparently eating curry and chili can help stimulate the heat receptors in your mouth, enhance circulation, and cause you to sweat, which actually makes you cool down. If you have a basement, then you should go into your basement because it's probably 10 to 15 degrees cooler than the rest of your house. You can buy liquid ice, and you can pre-soak your clothes in liquid ice so that it's nice and cold. Other solutions include putting your bed sheets in the freezer. The article I read, yes, it was from the Daily Mail, suggested putting your bed sheets in a plastic bag so that they don't smell like the frozen food in your freezer. The other suggestions included drinking chrysanthemum tea, hiring an air conditioning unit, probably not the best option for the environment, or to buy a Chillow. A Chillow is a thin, soft leather pillow that goes inside your regular pillow and apparently keeps your pillow 68% cooler. I think that Chillow was probably sponsoring this Daily Mail article. My favourite solution, however, was to sit back, close your eyes, and picture snow. Apparently, your body reacts to daydreams, reducing its overall temperature by simply thinking of being cold. And if none of that works when you're on a heat wave, I suggest you just enjoy the fact that for once it's nice and sunny. And if you're in England, then perhaps you will catch the one heat wave that we have a year. Thank you.